This week, Rob Allen joins us to discuss the importance of security research teams and some other cool projects they've worked on. Then, in the security news, Flipper Zero unlocking cars, the saga continues. The one where they stole the vulnerabilities. How to rob a hotel. ESP32 Bus Pirates. AI will weaponize everything, maybe. What are in the wild exploits? Docker and security boundaries and other such lies. AI-powered ransomware. BadCAM, BadUSB, and novel defenses, 5G sniffers. Jeff breaks down all the breach reports. AI in your browser, it's a bad idea. And the post about how to rob a hotel is a throwback to hacking in the 90s, which I love. All that and more on this episode, Paul's Security Weekly. This is a Security Weekly production for security professionals by security professionals. Please visit securityweekly.com/subscribe to subscribe to all the shows on our network. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where exploits run wild, packets aren't the only things getting sniffed, and the cocktails flow steady. It's Paul's Security Weekly. Ransomware, supply chain attacks, 0 days. Cyber threats don't wait, and neither should your defenses. With ThreatLocker, you're not just reacting to threats, you're stopping them before they start. ThreatLocker's zero-trust endpoint protection locks down your environment with pinpoint control over what's allowed to run and what's not. No guesswork, no blind spots, just proactive, built-for-now security that keeps your business moving. Want to see how a true default deny strategy works? Head over to securityweekly.com/ThreatLocker and take the first step towards shutting the door on threats before they even knock. Welcome, everyone, to our interview portion of the show today. I'm excited to talk about vulnerability and security research teams because there's multiple different types of these teams or groups within a lot of organizations that sometimes have a different mission, depending on which organization they're in and that organization's mission. There's a lot of security research happening in various groups, and I want to talk about the various types, what the value is, and then talk about some specific examples of what research they do with our friends from ThreatLocker. This interview is sponsored by ThreatLocker. You can go to securityweekly.com/ThreatLocker to learn more. Here with us is no stranger to the show, Mr. Rob Allen. Rob, welcome.
Thank you, Paul. Good to be here.
And from our Security Weekly side, we've got Miss Mandy Logan. Mandy, welcome.
Why, thank you. And Rob, I am so glad to be here. And as I showed, I still faithfully use ThreatLocker swag all the time.
Nice.
We do good merch.
Mr. Lee Neely's here with us. Sorry.
Hey, it's good to be here, guys. And I'm thinking, dang it, I forgot to grab the ThreatLocker coffee mug. I still have it.
Lee, hit me up after. We'll sort you out.
Nice.
It's an interesting segue. I observed ThreatLocker doing a lot of different marketing activities, which I love. I love to see you guys growing. I love to see you still spreading the word out there and doing the really heavy marketing, which I do like. And one of the way, I think it's interesting how marketing and research have that interesting relationship. I actually presented on that, I think last year at the Cybersecurity Marketing Conference. And specifically about research teams, what they do, how it segues into marketing, but also there's research that you do for products. There's research that you do more threat focused into products. Rob, I guess we'll start with ThreatLocker, and why not? What are your various research teams and what are their missions?
Well, we've a bunch of them. So we have our special projects team, which I believe some of us have met.
Which I absolutely adore. Yes, I absolutely adore talking with him.
I also love how you don't have like a catchy name. Like, we have Cisco Talos, we have IBM X-Force, Unit 42. And like in my day job at Eclipse, we're like, can we name it? And we just haven't settled on a name. It sounds like ThreatLocker, you're in the same boat, and that's totally cool.
So far, to be honest, we haven't actually put any thought into it now. But now that you mention it, I am going to have to pick up a cool name. I mean, I affectionately refer to them as the specials. Maybe the special ones. I don't know. We'll figure something out. Now that you mention it, it's probably important. But yeah, no, they're really cool bunch of guys. And the awesome thing from our perspective is that we just throw any random request at them and they come back to us with an answer or a solution or a bit of code or whatever the case may be. The example we mentioned earlier, so one of the things that we've got them working on currently is basically, and it does tie into the whole marketing thing as well, is we are always on the lookout for interesting attack vectors, scripts, basically. How can we live off the land on a machine? How can we basically do ransomware on a machine without it getting picked up by traditional defenses? So I was just looking at, and they drop these things into my payloads folder from time to time, and I don't pay a huge amount of attention, but I noticed one this morning that they just dropped one called local ransomware. Now, conveniently and very handily, they do also put a little README in there saying, please be very, very careful with this. If successful, you will have an encrypted copy of your documents folder, and we will permanently delete your documents folder, which I thought was very kind of them, because I was just going to randomly run it. But in this particular case, they just have a script that downloads 7-zip. 7-zip encrypts the data, deletes all the stuff, transfers it to whatever. Again, just something that's useful for us from an marketing perspective to show people how easy it is that this kind of thing can happen. But yeah, just being able to give that kind of stuff to them, saying, hey, make this cool, or show us what we can do, is really, really useful.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because it kind of speaks to living off the land, right? Which many attackers are doing today. I see a lot of techniques that are living off the land. And so if 7-zip isn't installed, go download my own copy. And the act of downloading 7-zip usually doesn't trigger any alarms in traditional systems. I know ThreatLocker, right, has a very special way to identify behaviors and prevent certain behaviors that isn't based on, hey, is this anomalous, right? Am I looking inside this binary and looking for, things that would indicate that it could be malware? 7-zip is 7-zip, right? It's a legitimate tool. People use it and download it, right? It's not malware.
Right. Yeah. Well, I was just thinking, if somebody dissed on 7-zip and said something about WinRAR, you could say, hold my beer, I'll be right back.
Right.
I've literally seen instances of WinRAR being used for exactly the same purpose.
Right.
Encrypting data, transferring data. I mean, fundamentally, things like that have all of the characteristics of ransomware, and will be used if they can't get around defenses, if they have no other options, they will use something like 7-zip, because it's not going to get picked up by most EDRs. I mean, why would you block 7-zip? Well, I mean, why would we block 7-zip? Because we block everything.
And 7-zip and WinRAR, I don't use them to encrypt files probably ever, but I know that functionality exists, right? That's in the respective code bases of a lot of compression utilities.
Absolutely.
Is to imply some level of encryption on your compressed data.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely
actually nice to have.
It's pretty core functionality. It's pretty basic functionality. But again, it's something that can be misused. I mean, there's lots of different examples. I mean, 7-zip and WinRAR are compression utilities that can also encrypt data. They can also transfer data. I mean, we've seen PuTTY being used for data exfiltration.
Yeah, I saw that article this week too.
PuTTY is not a bad application. It's not something that's going to get picked up by most defenses, but can it be used to exfiltrate data? Apparently so.
Right. There's even the built-in Windows SSH client, which I want to say at a certain juncture was enabled by default. If not, I think it was like a user installable thing. I actually remember doing a couple of my Windows systems. I'm like, I'm like, how do you install? I'm a Linux user. I'm not a Windows user. I'm like, well, can you get SSH on Windows? And like, you just go run this command or click here in the GUI, and then it's built in the OS.
And Paul, what you're discussing, I just want to clarify, like for audience, like, so that is different than PowerShell automation being weaponized.
Yeah.
Yeah. This would be remote communications, right?
Although,
so the ability to, over an encrypted channel, exfiltrate data, which is essentially what SSH and SCP allow you to do.
Right.
And PowerShell can be used to do it too.
Oh yeah, PowerShell's a whole other can of worms. I mean, it is probably the most dangerous thing that's sitting on anyone's computer right now. And the point is, it's sitting on pretty much everyone's computer right now, apart from
I disagree, Rob.
Users.
The most dangerous thing associated with anybody's computer is the meat sack.
That is not untrue. Right. That is not untrue.
Or at least the scariest part is the user.
No, that's not untrue. But in terms of what's
But in terms
on
of
people's
software, yeah,
computer,
I totally agree with you.
yeah. I mean, you can pretty much do anything. You can exfiltrate data, you can encrypt data, you can. I mean, there was a really interesting one recently. I don't know if we spoke about it. The cybersecurity company CEO who was arrested or supposedly arrested. Now, again, details are sketchy and limited. He has one story that other people have other stories. But long story short, he was supposedly arrested for installing malware in a hospital.
On the hospitals, the guy in
yeah, that
Tennessee,
guy, yeah.
right? Yeah, I can't remember his name right
that.
now, but yeah.
Yeah,
we covered that
can I, but
Right.
he did do a fairly detailed LinkedIn post basically saying exactly what had happened. So he pretty much walked up to two computers, one of which was unlocked, the other of which had the username and password stuck to the box. So not a lot of sort of physical security there. But he didn't install malware, according to him. He used PowerShell. So he basically set up a PowerShell script to take a screenshot and upload it to wherever once every 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good example. And apparently he just sat down and wrote it on the fly, which I have to admit, it was pretty impressive. But the really cool thing was he actually posted a screenshot of the PowerShell that he used, which I saw this article on LinkedIn at like 3:00 in the morning one day, and I went, "Ooh, that could be useful." And I grabbed it and took it, and we played with it, and now that's something we use as part of our demonstrations. So look how we can set up a screen grabber on your machine without installing any software, without downloading anything. Look how we can upload screenshots to wherever we want on whatever cadence or schedule we want.
And that's the advantage of having security researchers in this light that you have them, right? They're just very forward, cutting, bleeding edge focused researchers that you can either do your own, or you can look into the threat landscape and existing security research and go, hey, like, how would you implement that and do it? Maybe do it a different way, or, weaponize it further. And I love that because, that gets fed back into marketing, it gets fed back into product. And it sounds like you guys are doing exactly that.
Yeah.
Having the cycles to do that is important because you're not just relying on external threat research, you're internalizing that. And it, again, feeds marketing, feeds product, feeds demos, right?
Yeah.
You can highlight things in your product. That's
important. Yeah, absolutely. It's invaluable. It really is. And again, as you said, having somebody with cycles to be able to do that is really important because, we're all busy. We all have things to do. We all have jobs to do. We all have other stuff that we need to be doing. And we may not necessarily have time to take this bit of PowerShell, optimize it, make it work really well. I mean, a really good example was the original version that I got of that. When we ran it, it basically only took effectively 1024 by 768, so about a quarter of any screen. So that was kind of cool and, showed people what was happening. But obviously it's much better if we can take the entire screen. So that's one of the things that they've added to that script. And now it will take the entire screen from any machine that it gets run on.
Yeah, I see opportunities to do that all the time because a lot of what's published that I follow very closely in certain areas more than others is they'll post more of like the proof of concept, or I wanted to see if this would work, and here's the GitHub repo, and like go have at it, right? And I mean, sometimes at Eclipsing we do that too. Like, here's how far we took it, right? And we're going to put it out there, and I hope that people go take it to different levels and improve upon it, right?
Yeah.
And then we continue to learn from it. Like, oh, I thought it was this much impact, but then someone else takes it, and I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Not just a portion of the screen. It's the whole screen, right?
Yeah.
Or, there's those leaps that you can take.
Well, I suppose it is very much relevant to this. So when I actually got that screen, that code, I fed it into ChatGPT. And I tried to get it to fix it for me to take the entire screen, not just sections of the screen. I wanted to upload it to a different location.
It complained very loudly that it's you're trying to.
Oh no, it didn't. It had no objection.
Oh, it did. Okay.
No. It had no issues. It was like, fine, I'm going to help you out here, buddy. But it. What
and
it
do you
gave
think?
me,
Wait. I have a question. Do you think that's version dependent? Like which ChatGPT were you using?
Yeah. I can't remember at the time. Probably 4, but I mean, I've had struggles. I've had major falling outs with ChatGPT recently.
Me
5
too.
Specifically for just giving me garbage that doesn't work.
Yeah.
But in this case,
or the guardrails kick in, and I'm like, no. Like I'm not like an evil malicious attack. Like this is for security research. We can make the world a better place.
That used to work. That doesn't work anymore.
It doesn't. Yeah, the LMs are like, nope, go pound sand.
Well, until you actually download an LLM that has none of those controls built in. I did get one recently.
Well, I was going to say that's what's nice about a research team is now you've got cycles to go, okay, like let's go fix this problem. Let's have our own LLM that can do it. Also, a team with the knowledge that can do it, I think, is even better than an LLM, right?
Yeah.
Because they've got the knowledge and experience.
Yeah, no, as I said, I basically threw this at ChatGPT for a couple of hours and it kept on giving me garbage that didn't work, and I shouted at it and got upset at it, but then I just gave it to the special projects team, and lo and behold, they now have a version that works perfectly and does exactly what we wanted to do.
Right.
So
but
it sounds
the
like for the special
LLM,
project team, you are Lord Business.
Yeah. One thing I would say, the unfiltered or uncensored LLMs are quite interesting. I mean, I actually... somebody mentioned one. Oh God, now I'm gonna get it wrong. I think it was Wizard Vicuna Uncensored or something, and they all have these funny names. But I got a copy of that, and it's unbelievably trivial to set it up. Like, you literally download an application, you say download this LLM, and all of a sudden you've got it, and you throw stuff at it. But the uncensored ones are really scary because, I mean, you will literally say, give me code to write ransomware, and it will give you the code for the ransomware. Like,
so you don't have to do the dance. Often what I do in the public LLMs is I ask it to solve more of a computer science programming problem without giving it any context of how I would use it. So like I start off, I'm like, oh, hey, like I want to do this. And it's like, no, Dave, you can't do that. I'm like, crap. All right, forget that chat. Let me just create a new one. I'm like, I just have this problem I need to solve. And Claude is like, here's some Python code that does exactly that.
Yeah.
Like, sweet. Thank you.
So I've been thinking that, we should entertain the idea of having what amounts to a private LLM so that we can really ask it the shit we need asked. The question is that really viable? Or because you keep hearing about how much resources they need, and is it possible to? Would it be effective for a business to host its own LLM anymore and have it be worth a crap?
I literally have one running on my Mac.
Well, okay, I'm just everybody's like huge footprint. Huge.
I mean, I knew you could download them, but like I didn't think that I would have something that is fully functional and very scary that could literally run on my Mac. Which, I mean, I don't have big ass graphic cards or the stuff that you would normally expect to need. Now it's a little bit sluggish. I mean, it's not as snappy as it might otherwise be, but it works and it gives me.
But they're tuned on a smaller data set. They're more finely tuned for a specific task, so you don't need like an H200 or whatever to run and train. And someone's already trained the model, and you're just running the model, which is less computationally expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, I don't know, 16 billion.
Well, I was actually thinking about one where you train and build the model as well locally, then it could be totally wired into your data and your stuff, and you can have your IP in there, and it's only there. It's
correct, right? Yeah. Then you need a little more compute power.
You need a bit more horsepower for that. But as I said, in terms of just running it uncensored,
Lee, speaking to like your point, when I'm interacting with people who are, I'm going to say 1,200 times more in the space of dealing with custom LLMs and offline separate complete entities that they are using, what I'm finding surprising, they're like, well, even the most advanced ones, pretty much you can get very close to it with, $10,000 worth of equipment, or maybe 20,000. Like, it's not that we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars to set up like an expansively dynamic LLM, custom LLM and AI situation.
No. We literally have one. And interestingly enough, our special projects team have a box over there. Effectively, it's a big gaming PC, basically. And that's pretty much what they're doing with it, or one of the things they're doing with it.
Hey, I do want to interject, I don't want to derail this, but I do want to interject that one thing I also really appreciate about the special projects team and also white papers on ThreatLocker is the way they are written and the clarity. I've definitely put them in the top like 30% of white papers that I've read from a number of sources.
Oh. They are incredibly useful for that. So I'm going to confession here. From time to time, we will be asked for comment about various things that are ongoing. Our PR and marketing people, generally speaking, realize that I'm really, really busy and I don't have a lot of time to put into thinking and replying to these things. So quite often our special projects guys will come up with an answer, and it will be presented in front of me to go, is this okay to say? Now, there's very few people in this world who I will allow to put words in my mouth like that. But what I found is invariably, whatever they say, I go, that's fine.
That's good,
And
right?
that's quite.
Have your researchers done media training? Like, do you take some people in your research team and train them on media to respond?
Nope.
So they just kind of funnel it through you.
Yeah,
That's also a strategy. Like, I've been media trained, so when technical things, either research comes from us or someone else, and we're asked to comment on it, you know, I've got some media training to be able to respond to those.
Well, that makes one of us, Paul.
Well, I highly recommend, but I do recommend that. I mean, whether you're building a security research team or not, I think it's important to identify key members. Right.
My media training has basically consisted of me saying to myself, try not to say anything stupid and don't get yourself cancelled.
That's
pretty
really
much,
that's
if
the
I
crux
get to
of
the
media
end
training.
of any interaction without saying anything stupid or getting myself cancelled, I'm like, okay, did a good job there.
Yep. So we can't attribute some to the old familiar standby School of Hard Knocks? You don't have to answer that one.
No comment.
Yes, you want to be proactive about it.
Never.
I'm a big fan of the media training. I think it's helpful. I want to come back to the security research team, Rob. If you have to justify that, right? Let's say folks listening work for a company and they're like, I want some more justifications for time allocation for sheer security research. What are the business justifiers in your mind?
Well as all the cool things we ask them to do, they do very often contribute with things that end up as product or in the product. So, I mean, a recent example was that we have our support guys sometimes struggle with gathering all the required information. So a customer has a problem and they're trying to figure out what's going on. So very often it would be, look, give us screenshots of your registry or show us what's in this folder, send us all this kind of stuff that they normally have to do via chat, which is cumbersome, it's time consuming, and it can be frustrating both for the support person and for the customer at the other end. So we recently got them to the special products guys just said, look, we want you to do this, and they made a diagnostics collector for us. So gather all of the information from the machine that our support department could possibly require, up to and including basically being able to recreate the exact environment that the customer is running. And 2-3 days later, it existed. It was a thing. So it was a really good example. And I mean, that obviously has massive implications in terms of customer satisfaction, in terms of support being able to do what they need to do. Instead of going through 15 or 20 steps to get all the information that they might need to diagnose an issue, they now say, hey, run this diagnostics collector and it will get us all the information we need, uploads it to wherever, and we can then pull it down and work on it. That's a really good example of somebody going, it would be cool if we had this, us going to the special projects guys, can you make this please? And then we have something that is to the benefit of the entire company. So that they
likely dipped into their, I have some post-exploitation scripts that I wrote before. Let me just change those around a little bit.
Right? Possibly. It's pointed in different directions. It's eminently possible. It's eminently possible. But the interesting thing is, so you guys have met kind of half of our special projects team. We do also have, completely separate to them, a threat analyst team. Now, I refer to them as basically our tame hackers, but those guys are a whole different level. I mean, the threat analysts are kind of general stuff that we'll throw in their direction, whereas the threat analyst guys are the ones who get really deep and dirty into trying to figure out, prospect on a trial, haven't secured yet, had a breach, and they will go into all manner of detail, basically trying to figure out what happened and how. The ultimate reason for it being that we want to build out detection rules so we can see what tactics and tools are being used, etc. So those guys are similar but different, but they are very much getting into the weeds, down and dirty with actual attacks. How did they happen? How did it take place? Again, keeping a finger on the pulse of what's going out there or what's going on out there, because a lot of useful information through various sources that they can also build detection rules around.
Yeah, so you have more of a product-focused research team, and then like a cutting, bleeding edge research team. That's great.
Pretty much.
That product focused team also sounds like they could ask the invariable customer question of why does this matter to me?
Mm.
They could help you make it real, that this isn't just something we dream up in a laboratory.
Oh,
It's actually
absolutely.
happening,
I mean, the
That's pretty
example I
cool,
gave,
by the way.
yeah, I mean, the example I gave earlier of putty being used for data exfiltration was exactly that. I mean, it was literally, a customer who hadn't secured their environment. They were, still on trial, whatever the case may be, got breached. And we were able to see, because fundamentally they had agents deployed, even though they weren't actually secured. We could see this traffic coming from putty. So, I mean, and that was quite some time ago. We actually saw that. But as I said, it's just a really good example of where they will go digging through, thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands or millions of logs, basically trying to figure out exactly what happened. What was the source of this? How did they get in? What did they do once they got in? And they've got a full visibility of everything that happens on the machine. So they can also often build a pretty comprehensive picture of what a breach, the anatomy of a breach, basically what a breach looks like, from user clicked on this link, PowerShell opened, this downloaded, went out here, all that kind of stuff. It's really interesting. But again, from our perspective, it's important to know that, because we can detect it as well as prevent it.
So cool. Go ahead, Mandy.
Oh no, it just makes me think of going other parts of ThreatLocker's tools, like the ring fencing and other things that I personally value, that I go back to. So I'm just more. I just get very excited and encouraged by hearing what is going on.
Well, I'm not going to lie. It's actually somewhat inconvenient that, because of the nature of what we do and how we do it and all the things we blocked, and as you said, ring fencing is a great example of that, the sample size for us of customers who are breached or have bad things happened is quite small. So it, generally speaking, tends to be, as I said, people who are on trial, they've only deployed it to a small number of their machines, they're not secured yet, or reasons like that. So it's a relatively small sample size. Now, it's a valuable sample size, but it's a relatively small sample size. I mean, generally speaking, what we are seeing in logs is things not able to happen, for PowerShell not to be able to reach out to the internet, or for, data not to be able to be exfiltrated. So the small sample size, the occasional times when, as I said, through a variety of circumstances, people are not properly secured, that is gold to us in terms of figuring out what happened, how it happened, and how we can prevent it happening in future.
Yeah, Rob, another source of research, which is, it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's very tricky to set up, can be very valuable, is to set up honeypot type systems. I use that term very loosely, right? But you set up a system, you purposely let attackers have at it, and you observe what's happening. That can be in a controlled environment, or you can just put it out on the internet. Which requires a lot of care in feeding and a lot of careful planning that you keep it contained, which is why I believe not as many people do it. But have you considered doing that in researching what's in the wild versus your smaller sample size, right?
So, fun story. We have once, yes, absolutely, we've considered it. I think we have done it on occasions in the past. I did it accidentally one time, which was
that was a honey. That's my excuse. I didn't get hacked. It was a honeypot.
I didn't, without getting into any of the specific details, I set up a VM in Azure for whatever reason. I can't even remember what the reason was. And it was not long after that so it was about a year and a half ago, nearly 2 years ago. It was not long after we'd introduced our detection platform, ThreatLocker Detect. And I set up this machine for whatever random reason. I can't remember what it was, but I noticed after a couple of days that our detect alerts for that machine were going nuts, absolutely nuts. And it was basically a machine on the internet, RDP exposed. It was being brute forced. Now, that's a really good example of how long it takes. Like, once a machine is out there, once it's connectable, it probably took them maybe 2 or 3 days to figure out what was there. After which time, hammered, absolutely hammered. So that was my example of an accidental honeypot. I didn't actually set it up for that purpose, but it was a really good indication of what happens when you leave a machine exposed to the internet for any more than a couple of days.
Yeah, that's certainly, it's an interesting kind of fact today that attackers have gotten really good
At
at
finding
scanning,
things.
pre-scanning, and because in the research that I'm seeing is they're building botnets out of network devices and IoT devices for all the reasons I've talked about before. And then they're like, oh, let's just train it and go find all the RDP stuff. And doing that on a continual basis, right? Because your scan of the internet changes every single day.
Absolutely.
And so now they're just they're basically doing continuous monitoring, but for evil, not for good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of my favorite ways of getting people to go, ooh, is just to go onto Shodan, and you can search by geographic location. So search by city and search by port. So you literally just go on and say, city, Orlando, port 3389, and see what it throws back at you. Last time I did it, there was like over 1,000 devices in this geographical area, in the Orlando area, with RDP exposed to the internet. That's terrifying. I mean, they are literally a brute force. They are a guest password away from being the next victims. And there, in some cases, I saw medical companies, I saw law firms. It's really scary. And in reality, none of them probably know that those devices are exposed to the internet. I mean, you would expect if they did, they would probably do something about it. But yeah.
Well, I think, my experience in judging by the number of RDP instances exposed to the internet today, I still think this is true, is admins believe because it's RDP, it comes from Microsoft, it must be secure. It's meant for remote access, so therefore I should be able to expose it wherever I want and still be secure. Obviously, that's not true.
Well, one thing that we've noticed we haven't seen a lot of it, but it is something that has been going around, is using Microsoft's Quick Assist for remote access. So attackers
I've seen that too,
using Quick Assist. Now, again, Quick Assist if it's not built into Windows, it's certainly easily gettable on Windows. And because it's there, it's something that attackers will leverage. So, the fake support call, hi, it's your IT department. Can you just open up Quick Assist and put in this code? It's a great example of something that is ostensibly good, which is being actively misused. So again, advice to our customers is just block Quick Assist. If it's not needed, if you don't use it, there's no reason for it to be able to run on all your machines.
Yeah,
well, and thanks for saying
remote
that.
access is a huge vector. Go ahead, Mandy.
It just clicked something in my mind because through DEF CON, through summer camp, I spoke with 5 separate individuals focused on ransomware and remediation and negotiations and stuff. And 2 of them brought up very specific industries on legal firms being attacked. And that I don't know why, like when you said that, I was like, oh, okay, that clicks on how and why that access point is being focused on. And then because the law firms have so much more personal data and such a huge responsibility that it was becoming that's not new. It's just that it seemed that there was the individuals I spoke with each mentioned, especially those 2, that was kind of, an increase.
It's valuable data. If you look at what they're targeting most, it's obviously things like hospitals, medical, that kind of stuff, because the sensitivity of the data, the fact that it's so sensitive, they figured that these organizations will probably pay rather than have it leaked, even though it's probably out there already. But then if you think about who else has really valuable and important and sensible data, law firms are pretty high up there.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. Great discussion. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rob. Thanks for your support of the show. Awesome. That concludes this segment. Your company runs on Google Workspace, but it's an afterthought for most security tools. Material Security is the first and only platform purpose-built to protect Google Workspace, securing email, data, and user accounts from advanced threats. From blocking sophisticated phishing attacks in Gmail to preventing unauthorized app usage and fixing risky file sharing in G Drive, Material continuously protects your data. Don't settle for second best. Protect Google Workspace with Material Security. Learn more at securityweekly.com/Material Security. Security Weekly and Cyber Risk TV are headed back to one of the biggest identity security events of the year, Octane 2025, put on by Okta. Live September 24th through the 26th, The vibrant city of Las Vegas, Octane 2025, brings together the best minds in identity, security, and technology innovation. And this year, we're turning up the volume. Security Weekly will be on site in full force with Mandy Logan and Adrian Sanabria leading the charge. Get ready for live-streamed executive interviews, exclusive on-site editorial coverage from SC Media, and brand new this year, a live-streamed episode of Enterprise Security Weekly. It's your chance to engage with identity leaders, dive into the future of AI security, and hang out with your favorite Security Weekly hosts. And here's the best part. Security Weekly listeners get an exclusive discount. Just head to securityweekly.com/Octane to register and use the promo code OKTNSCMA25 to get your conference pass for $200. Coming to you live from the Hacker Syndicate Studios, unrehearsed, unscripted, and unsupervised. This is Paul Security Weekly. It is episode number 889, recorded on Wednesday, August 27th, 2025. I'm, of course, your host, Paul Asadorian, joined here in studio by Mr. Larry Pesce. Coming in hot from the land down under.
Yeah, the wrong hemisphere and the wrong side of the planet. Yeah.
You're good though. You seem like you're pretty well recovered.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I was pretty. I got back Sunday, and just the way the flights went, and I was ready to bed Sunday night at the regular time. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Still tired, but yeah, dude. Unrelated. 889. We're almost at 900.
I know.
Christ,
It's amazing.
We are. It's a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
Here to help us with this podcast, Mr. Jeff Mann is here with us. Jeff, welcome.
I am happy to be here and happy to see everybody with us. And Larry, did you have any Vegemite while you were down under?
I did not, but I did have kangaroo.
Ooh, how was it?
Kangaroo is delicious, actually.
It is. I mean,
Was she cute?
Maybe. Either way, Jeff, we have Vegemite at home, so that's something that we have all the time. We just can't get kangaroo here. So,
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yep, that was an easy decision.
Mr. Josh Morpet is here with us. Josh, welcome.
You have Vegemite at home? What's wrong with you and who hurt you? Dear God.
It's delicious.
Hey, to each their own. Mr. Sam Bound is here with us. Sam, welcome.
Good evening. Glad to be here.
Miss Mandy Logan is here with us. Mandy, welcome.
Why, thank you. And I'm assuming he also drinks Malort just for fun.
It pairs that with the Vegemite.
See, no. I learned how to eat Vegemite from Joff Thayer.
Oh, okay.
You put a lot of butter on your toast. You put a thin, super thin skim of Vegemite on it, and then maybe a little honey on top of that.
Yeah, we should.
So you do everything you can to mask the flavor.
Yeah,
of
pretty much.
Vegemite.
We should
That-
find a link to the instructional video that Joff did of how to eat Vegemite.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
like how to
about
eat fried
200
worms.
episodes ago.
Do you remember that
Yeah.
book? Like, that's like how to
I
eat. Like,
do.
you're just, it's Vegemite-esque now.
There's
Where-
7
where
inches of flavorings to mask the 1/8 inch of Vegemite.
1/8 inch is too much, Josh.
That's way too much. I'm thinking it's like
much.
1/72nd.
You're right.
Where did Bill Swearingen go? I was already introduced him, and then I looked up and he was gone.
He
I was
dropped.
going to ask, but I wasn't going to ask on the air. But since you said,
No, I asked on the air.
did he get hurt because of his car?
I don't
He
know.
decided that 90 minutes of
Got
news
all
was
the
just not
feels?
long enough.
Nope.
Dude,
Okay.
at least his
Bill's out.
car wasn't destroyed by rats.
True. This is true. Quick announcement before we get into it. Attend InfoSec World 2025, October 27th through the 29th at Disney's Coronado Springs Resort in Lake Buena Vista, Florida, with pre-event workshops happening October 25th through the 26th and post-event workshops happening October 29th through the 30th. Connect, learn, and level up your cyber game. Save 25% with the code ISW25-SW at securityweekly.com/ISW 2025.
And I'll be there for sure. Maybe some of the
Woohoo.
Mandy is going.
I will be there.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I think Jackie is going too.
Yes.
So you can see some of us at InfoSec World. How about that? Do you want to start on some AI stuff? I was waiting for Bill. I wanted Bill here if we're going to talk about the car unlocking with the flipper thing.
Okay,
we'll
talk
give him a
about the
few
breach
minutes.
reports then.
Oh.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
I mean, the car
Or the
locking
Ryobi
with the flipper thing
batteries.
is bullshit. Next. So
Well, let's talk about
Oh.
AI first.
Right.
We've got some AI-based stories, AI-powered ransomware has been uncovered by ESET researchers. I mean, I don't know if this is necessarily groundbreaking, but it says the prompt lock malware uses a GPT model from OpenAI locally via the Olama API to generate malicious Lewis scripts on the fly, which it then executes. Prompt lock leverages Lewis scripts generated from hard-coded prompts to enumerate the local file system and inspect target files and exfiltrate selected data and perform encryption. What happens when it generates bad Lewis scripts, though? Is that because it doesn't generate perfect code all the time? It's kind of interesting.
Well, I would have to imagine that the feedback loop is very, very quick is kind of the thing. It's able to generate Lewis scripts based on the information that it has from Nmap. Lua made me think of Nmap. Yep. From whatever tools it's using, it generates a script. It fires a script. If the script doesn't work, it tries again.
Have
you tried vibe coding with an AI?
I have.
Half the time it doesn't work, but when you tell it what the error was, it goes, "Oh, hang on," and it comes up with a
right. Until it puts you into an error loop and it tries to fix it, and then it doesn't actually fix it, and then creates more errors that you don't realize because it hasn't fixed the first error to begin with.
Larry, we drink to forget those times.
Point of parliamentary procedure, but is there such a thing as vibe coding without AI?
Yes, it's when you call Jeff Mann and ask him to do it with you.
Yeah. It was kind of a serious question because I thought vibe coding was coding with AI.
You're correct. I misspoke.
I mean, Jeff. Jeff, you could potentially go the analog with that and say, I only program in Stack Overflow.
Okay. Hey, speaking of which, not to go off track, I attended my 45th high school reunion last weekend, and in digging through memorabilia, I found my computer math high school project from like 1978 or 79, a basic program in which I wrote a program based on the board game called Mastermind. It's like 7 pages long. So if anybody, Bill's back. Bill wants me to send it to him.
Bill.
So he can
Dude, it's super cool. Yeah, hey everybody.
Welcome back, Bill.
Thanks. I ran out of bandwidth, so I'm trying to make more. We'll see if it works.
Yeah. Oh, good.
So I'm
curious
to run my code through AI, and then I can be a vibe coder.
He needs to whip the hamster a little. Come on, Fried Master.
You can do it. You can do it. You can do it.
Make more Wi-Fi. Sorry, Jeff. We just walked all over you with dumb jokes. Sorry.
That's okay. I was saying
used to it by now.
I was tempted to run my code through AI so I could say I do vibe coding. Does it handle
in all
basic?
honesty, Jeff, I read that you put that up in a Signal group, and I read it. It was absolutely amazingly cool. I thought there was some pretty great code. How old were you when you did that?
Probably 16 or 17.
And we're talking about 45, 47, because you were in high school, not graduated years ago.
Yeah, it was probably 47 years ago.
You know, the amount of computing, like you literally were barely programming on anything outside of, you didn't have a phone on your hip that had a Linux kernel in it. Nope. You didn't have tablets that you could you did a Steam Deck, you could play a game and switch to coding the next minute. You were either at the computer or you weren't coding at all.
Now, did you have to set aside computer time? Like, did you have to request time to go to the lab, and like, did you use cards and stuff?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how we
tablets
stored the code.
Stone.
We had a computer lab that had like 2 or 3 computers on it. So yeah, we had to take turns. And, I honestly don't remember how many people were in the class. I mean, computers weren't a thing back then.
Right.
What computer were you using? Do you remember? What kind of computer was it?
Nah, I do not remember. I know
Okay,
it didn't have a hard drive, and I don't even think it had it might have had a floppy drive. Maybe it was like the 8-inch floppies, but I want to say that we stored the programs on punch tape.
Oh, so it wasn't a Sinclair or a Trash 80.
No, this is, I think, before Trash 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad told me that in college, and this would have been the 70s, that whenever he would set up a program, then he would request computer lab time. And then if it came up that it was 2 a.m. on a Thursday that he got access, that's when you went.
That's time sharing. Sharing.
Ask Cliff Stahl about that.
Yeah.
Ask my dad about that. He did that back then. He was on one of the first Multics systems in New York City. And
hey, I wanted to change gears. Sorry, I love being nostalgic and all.
It's your show, Paul. I guess we can talk about news.
We got a lot of ground to cover.
We have
tonight.
40 billion stories here.
Are we still talking AI?
So I want to take a break from AI for a moment because I'm really excited to talk about how to break into cars, because there's been a lot of it's a continuing saga.
Take brick, throw at window. You're in the car.
So much for that. There's a lot of news to cover, but go ahead.
Yeah.
It's your
exactly.
show.
But Larry and I were talking about this before the show, right? Well, I mean, early cars, according to the paper that I read, which went through a little bit of a history behind the security mechanisms behind like preventing people from getting into cars. Early cars had no locks at all. no, nothing. It was more like a tractor, right?
Early cars didn't have a roof.
Didn't have,
exactly.
Early cars required a shotgun shell.
They were basically wagons.
Yeah.
Or a torch for the steam cars. Yeah.
Yep. And then we got keys. So we had usually wafer locks with keys. But then I was like, Larry, does Slim Jim still work?
For the most part.
Yep.
As far as I know, I haven't,
except for those cars that are all electrically actuated, like
a
Tesla.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's so easy though. You know what they have now to break into a car? They have the wedge. You slip this rubber bag in. You inflate it with a bulb, like a blood pressure cuff bulb.
Yep.
It wedges the door open just enough to get that long pole in and hit the unlock button, and boom, you're in.
Yep, exactly.
I used to use a screwdriver, but that messed up the paint job.
Yeah, but when you had a $100 car, it really didn't matter.
If you've armed the alarm on your car and someone uses the bulb with the wedge and the door opens, the alarm will go off.
Yes, that's correct.
Which is inconvenient.
When was the last time you saw anybody respond to a car alarm?
Exactly.
Anywhere.
I'm just saying it's a minor inconvenience for a theft, especially the thefts in my neighborhood that have happened a few years. Sometimes they skip a year, but they'll go through every car in the neighborhood and they'll pull on every handle, and if it's open, they'll just take everything that's inside the car, right? And they do this at whenever the time that most people are in the deepest sleep, I believe is 3 a.m., and they'll do it at 3 a.m. But if you were to do that and the alarm would go off, that'd be bad for that kind of attack, right?
Yep.
So then we get to remote keyless entry, RKE, remote keyless entry systems was the next evolution of vehicle security. Then you got into the proximity keyless entry systems, which is like more modern cars, right? If your key fob is near the car, you can open the door and start it. And then also in there is rolling codes, right? So the early key fobs did not use rolling codes. There was a lot of garage door hacks, right, with rolling codes. So we got rolling codes where the key fob and the car have to be in sync, and the codes are constantly changing, because key fobs before that you could just replay. So then you get to more modern attacks. One is 2015 roll jam, which revolved around clever jamming and timing, but required continuous monitoring and precise execution. Then you got rollback, which was the 2022
start this
paper.
with he didn't want to get wrapped up in the nostalgia thing, right?
Yeah, right. And then I went through the entire history
Man,
of
Jeff, let it go, buddy.
vehicle security.
Jeff's on a slow smolder.
Right, Paul,
today.
I've got scotch and a cigar. What happened in 1998? Keep going.
That was probably regular key fobs without rolling codes.
Okay.
Were probably
We're up to
prevalent in
2015. I'm
1995.
sorry.
We're now in 2015,
Okay.
which was roll jam. 2022 was rollback. Rollback is the paper that I read that was attached to the Flipper Zero article that was like, yes or no, can Flipper Zeros break into a car? And I think the Flipper Zero official one kind of makes it sound like they just took previous research, such as roll jam and rollback, and implemented that in the Flipper Zero. Because from the paper, I don't know how accurate the paper is. Like, I didn't fact check, but in the paper they did state specific frequencies, sub-gigahertz, are used in all of these transmissions between key fob and the car. Also, we can't forget about the immobilizer, which is RFID technology that we've talked about before, which without that, obviously we have the Kia boys, right? So what I got to was that evidence shows that the people selling the malicious flipper firmware have gotten a hold of the source code that implements the rolling codes on many key fobs. And based on the source code, they can conduct more effective attacks that don't require jamming, that don't require multiple unlock codes. It's a one-time thing because they know how the algorithm works. They've looked at the source code. They've either re-implemented the source code and or found vulnerabilities in it, and that's what's being done today. I don't know how much that is true. I've not been able to get a hold of I haven't tried really the flipper firmware to confirm that.
Yeah, Paul, even if they have the source code, they should need a secret to start the pseudo-random numbers.
There needs to be a
so
seed,
from what
right?
Yeah. So from
And
what
the
I
seed's
saw,
probably the
Sam,
same in every
and-
device they've ever manufactured.
So
I'm sorry,
and to be very clear, I'm in the same state you are, Paul. I have not seen the source. I don't have the firmware, all of those kind of things. But Sam, from what I heard, therein lies the problem: is that the seed was consistent across not only multiple vehicles but multiple makes as well. Right? Is what now?
Right.
Now this could
You're
all
still
just
gonna
be
need
internet
hardware as
rumor.
well.
Say that again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You're still going to
That would make sense
So
though, based on what I've read.
there's two things missing from this: is the hardware to send and receive the signals properly, which may be just an SDR. I don't know.
That's all it is, an SDR. Yep.
Okay.
The paper from 2022 used an SDR.
And then you're going to need that seed code, unless they found a vulnerability in the code itself.
In the algorithm, which they could derive what the current code is without the seed.
You know, so what
the next
what,
code is
the way I
the
kind of
next
feel
code.
is, you know, there is smoke here, right? Like, so whether there's fire or not, there's smoke, right? There's something. But I kind of what's interesting about the story, and again, I don't really know all this drama, but from what I understand, the developer that wrote this firmware just got let out of prison or something, and he didn't get his repo back, so he came out with a bunch of middle fingers and is dropping this firmware. That blow, like, I hope that's the real story. Look, I got out of prison and I couldn't get my firmware back, so I'm just going to release car stealing flipper firmware like that. I love that story.
I heard, Bill, there was some friction between the developer, who I believe goes by the name Daniel from Russia, and the Unleash firmware team. Because the other thing I heard is that this character, I don't know, that's obviously not his real name, would be my guess, right? But we'll just call him Daniel for now. That Daniel, when he sells the firmware for like $800 to $1,000 to someone, it's keyed to your flipper, so you have to send him your serial number with the flipper. And the Unleash guys got a hold of that firmware and was like, screw that guy, for whatever reason, and cracked it, and we're releasing it probably to undermine Daniel's business model because they had some kind of beef.
So I heard the same thing, and I heard that that it's being shared pretty openly now in some Discord channels. Again, I don't have it. This is something that we should probably go check out. But Bill,
when you get it, please send it.
And if any of our listeners are willing to share, then
I promise I'm not going to use it to steal cars. I'm not into stealing cars.
For research purposes only.
I will.
So
my car got wrecked last week.
I
need to go steal a car with my flipper.
Well,
just can't.
You can't really steal the car with it. That's the myth. You can just unlock it.
I know.
You can unlock it.
Right.
Yeah.
Obviously, if it's a Kia or a Hyundai in a certain make and model year, a certain make and model of certain years do not have immobilizers, and then you're going to take apart the steering column and turn the thing. But
thanks for teaching people how to hotwire a car there, Paul. But so
I did no such thing. The only thing I said is you have to take apart the steering column. If you were to try hard enough, you could find a video or tutorial online somewhere that showed you how to do that. Yeah. And I bet if you're mechanically inclined, you could go start taking apart the steering wheel of your Kia and figure it out on your own, because it's not that freaking hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one thing that we can do,
I think with
go ahead. I'll go after you, man. Okay. Well, I was going to say one of the things that maybe we forgot to just kind of mention. Oh my God, this is so crazy.
You're going, Bill. Keep going.
Yeah,
keep going.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, you will.
And we forgot to mention. So we've already seen this attack from flippers. Really
but now there's this thing
where they were able that they were able to record one of the unlock or lock things, and then replay that as long as the car hadn't seen that lock or unlock code. Right. Now this one's different. So what the firmware is showing right now is even if the car is aware of that button press, that the flipper is able to predictably get the next code. And so with one unlock, this new firmware supposedly would be able to unlock the car. Right. So it's not replaying a code that the car had not seen.
Right.
Larry, I'll turn it over to you.
Right, because I think there's differences in the attacks, and I believe the rollback and roll jam attacks leave the original key fob in a functioning state, likely because they're just continuing
mostly functional.
Mostly functional because they're just continuing the correct codes in the rolling code. The flipper, the new attack purportedly on the flipper is that it has knowledge of how to generate a code right outside of that. And in that process, your key fob no longer functions until you resync your key fob with your vehicle, right? And Larry and I just talking about this on the show. I'm like, the rolling code thing, I don't understand. And then Larry started explaining to me, I'm like, oh, it's kind of like a three-way handshake. Like they have a conversation like, hey, you want to start with this seed? And Fob's like, yeah, I want to start with that seed. Okay, we both agree we're going to start with this seed, and they sync, and then they're off to the races, much like a TCP three-way handshake.
Yep. So this whole thing, we talk so much about the flipper, and we're starting to see more and more the flipper getting, a lot of quote bad press because of the bad things that it can do.
Right.
And one of my students last week when I was in Australia had a great comment that the Flipper Zero is really democratizing wireless attacks for the masses.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not wrong because it's this device you can super easy with a web interface, flash some new firmware, make it do all sorts of fun stuff with a cool interface with a couple of button presses, and we can get our kids to do just unlock cars.
And it's $100, right?
Right. And it's $100. But to me, this is where some of the work that we've seen Paul been doing about building the flipper replacement out of cobbled together parts.
Don't tell people that. Then they want to ban those devices too.
But how are they going to know what they are? I mean, this is kind of my point. Like, you take this, I'm throwing shit out there. You take an ESP32, you program it to do one of these flipper attacks, you 3D print a case on it, and if it's a cheap yellow display, you even put something fake on the screen. Like, this is my glucose monitor. You can't tell me I can't bring this into Disney World.
But here's the thing. So, the paper rollback a new time-agnostic replay attack against automotive remote keyless entry systems from 2022. When it talks about remote keyless entry, it says, when a button is pressed, RF signals are emitted towards the car in the frequency bands of 315, 433, and 868 megahertz, depending on the geographic location.
Yep.
I surmise to attack most vehicles today, modern or not, if they're using any kind of RKE, you just need to be able to receive and transmit in a sub-gigahertz RF spectrum. That opens this door up to so many devices that are incredibly affordable. The CC1101 chip, you can find commodity. I mean, you can find dongles for a few dollars that will allow you to do any SDR, right? Any of the SDR, RTL SDR, the Hack RF1. I mean, it don't need to be as fancy as the Hack RF1. You just need to be able to receive and transmit those frequencies. That's like a ton of devices, including one of my favorites. So, please don't ban this device. It's actually over there on the table. I think most know what it looks like. It's the LilyGo T-Embed CC1101. Has the CC1101 radio in it, which allows for sub-gigahertz communications.
Yep.
And that, I believe, is the same radio is that the same radio that's on the Flipper? The Flipper has a CC1101 on it. A lot of people make add-ons so you can have two, right? So you can have one receiving and one transmitting if you wanted to, or have them in different frequencies, receiving and transmitting on different frequencies. So that's the only thing that an attacker needs in terms of hardware to pull this off. And that means that this is just commodity hardware that anyone can get from eBay, from Amazon, from all the places that have banned Flipper Zeros. You can even get these in Canada. But Canada hasn't banned the Flipper Zero, but they talked about it, right? So this is commodity stuff. All we need is the code to know what data to transmit in these packets on what frequencies.
Yep.
So conceivably, if someone were to get a hold of the firmware for Flippers, the first thing I would do is take a look at the code and go, oh, I can go to my LLM and it can help me port that to another platform. I mean, even if it's the same radio, so the porting is probably really super friggin' easy.
Well, here's the kicker. So we're talking about LLMs and flippers in terms of flipper, just any wireless, little mini wireless device, right? You know, like we talked CC1101 or whatever. The ability of someone to walk around with a decent sized USB battery in their backpack, a flipper, a little, whatever the smallest thing is that you can run a vaguely reasonable onboard LLM on, and just spam wireless attacks across incredible amounts of frequencies and types of attacks. And, you know, effectively you could have the equivalent of a wireless Cobalt Strike headquarters running on your back.
But it's not the tool it's not the tool's fault. It's what you're doing with it. Right?
Welcome to Open Source Tooling Discussion 101, man.
Well, I go back to, I forget who made this analogy first on the show, but, you know, I got a hammer and I could bash people over the head, or I can build houses with it. Right?
Yep.
So we're going to ban hammers? That's the
ban hammer. Ban hammer.
Right? That's the analogy.
Ban hammer.
It fits nicely in the ban hammer, moniker as well, but you're not going to ban hammers. So like banning the flipper is not going to stop people from unlocking cars and committing crimes, right? It's just not.
Flippers don't unlock
but
cars.
I feel like that's
people unlock cars.
It's true.
You wouldn't unlock a car with a flipper, would you?
No.
You wouldn't download a car.
Yes, I would.
Well, if it's my car, I would, because I gave myself permission.
Yeah, you wouldn't download a gun.
Let's not forget what separates.
Totally would.
If I could 3D print a car, I would, and if it was a decent car, I would.
I'm sure there's people working on that. I've seen people 3D print some pretty crazy shit.
I have seen 3D printed cars.
I sent the video. I think someone 3D printed a kayak.
Yep.
Did they really?
No, it wasn't.
That sounds like dedication.
Sounds awesome, but it wasn't great.
Somebody
he shows the test run, and it was exactly what you would think of the problems you would have with a 3D printed kayak.
Somebody 3D printed a full-sized benchy and put a trolling motor on it, and it floated.
Actually, wait, 3D printing, interesting story. I forgot. I should have put it in there. And I don't know if this is going to be okay, but PTR.
No, it's not okay. Keep on.
PTR is a company. They just patented 3D printing suppressors. And there's a half a dozen companies that 3D print their suppressors, metal 3D printing. Okay. And so the half a dozen companies, so we've got patent troll, we've got technology and guns. And it's absolutely terrifying that people are trying to patent 3D printing relatively normal objects that are already being out there in the 3D printing world.
So, but I think what we're saying is back to the story that the Flipper Zero, the blog post from Flipper Zero, which you should go read, is basically a different take on this, right? It's talking about key lock in the 1980s and older. Was that the non-rolling code garage door thing was key lock, I think. Yep. They went back to how car theft traditionally works with the repeater, where you're basically just replaying what's coming from.
Actually, it's not even replaying; it's repeating it. It's receiving it on an antenna and it's coming out of a new device.
So it's a replay. Replay.
It's
from the actual thing.
It's a relay attack.
Relay. Yes, you're right. It's a relay attack, and that's with the proximity remote keyless entry that they're doing the relay attack.
Yep.
They're basically saying the key fob is next to the
key fob's right here because the signal's going right out,
and lets them unlock the car, and that's one way. So they're saying it's not anything new. And they say real car thieves use completely different tools. If your car could be attacked with a Flipper Zero, it could just be easily attacked with a piece of wire. While that's not untrue, I believe where we've seen some evidence, although not conclusive, is that there is firmware for a flipper that can allow you to unlock cars. And things we're coming down to. Bill, I think Bill, you could agree with me on this, right?
Yeah, I do. There's something there, and and we've seen some reputable security researchers, what's his name, 0 Day or whatever his name is, that claims he has it. And so, I mean, like, I think that he would call bullshit if it was bullshit, quite honestly.
I think there's a number of security researchers that have purportedly validated it for the original article that ran in that SAN whatever publication. Joseph Men, I think was it Joseph Menon 404 that wrote that article? That's what kicked this whole thing off. I was done talking about Flipper Zeros breaking into cars until 404 Media, which is my link in the thing. Joseph Cox from 404 Media wrote Inside the Underground Trade of Flipper Zero Tech to Break into Cars. So now what's interesting is that there's a what's his name? Is it Tech? Is that the person's handle that did a lot of RFID and car stuff too? I think he goes by the handle Tech. Is the researcher quoted in the article. It says Kia boys will be Flipper boys by 2026. Now, I think they're going to combine this, right? Because this is the issue I always had with the Kia boys was you got to get into the vehicle first before you can actually try and start it if it doesn't have an immobilizer. So now this could, once this leaks out, I fully expect that this is just going to be a commodity thing that everyone has.
This will definitely leak,
right?
Yeah.
Kia boys are going to get a hold of this and go, wow, it's so much easier now. I just get my flipper, I can unlock the car, I can get in, rip apart the steering column and go for my joyride rather than any other method you would use to break in. The other method that someone did point out when I posted this, I believe on LinkedIn, was that if you take apart the headlight, you can get access to the CAN bus underneath the headlight to then unlock the vehicle, right? So that's not an RF attack, that's a physical attack.
But that's in specific cars from what I understand, right? So that headlight CAN bus attack is in a very, very limited amount of cars. I understand. I don't know, but
But this is a great point, Bill. And I think the real danger with this is because we've run through the gamut of how you break into cars. Good Lord. Please no one commit crime based on this podcast. We're not saying to commit crime. But we've talked about Slim Jims, the door wedge, breaking the glass, the headlight thing. Well, the difference between all of those is this is so much more convenient. I just walk up in proximity of a vehicle with any device that can transmit the signals, and I'm off to the. I do think someone needs to send the unlock code first.
Yeah. You have to have receipt. Yeah. Mm. And no, the real differentiator is the noise factor, that it's quiet. Like, so throwing a brick through a window is loud, right? Right. I don't know how you disassemble a headlight silently, but that's the difference. Is now all of a sudden we've got something that's persistent, right, and quiet, and I can come back whenever. Right. That's right. The problem.
Yeah, I'm not sitting there. You're going to sit there for a good amount of time to disassemble the headlight to get in there. Yeah. However long that takes. I mean, I'm sure people practiced, professional car thieves, I believe, have used that method because when they find the car, they find the headlight's been disassembled, right? Yep. And that was one of the indicators. So yeah, this is.
How about we move on? We got a lot of news to cover.
I agree.
According to you,
we do.
Are we going to go back to AI?
What was my other big story? Oh, the best blog post of 2025. Hands down, I'm calling it right now. It's September. If you want to try and put one better than this one, I'll put that challenge down on you. My story number 24, titled, just waiting for the plane to go overhead. Who's in an airport?
Jeff.
Oh. No. Jeff's muted, though. Uh-huh. What was that? So, anyway. Story number 24.
That was just gremlins in Bill's house. That's
I gotcha. Yeah, someone's playing airplane. I mean, anyway,
you can hear the airplanes at Bill's house, just not the Wi-Fi.
The one where we just steal the vulnerabilities. Crush FTP. CVE 2025 54309. It might be the best post of 2025. The commentary is not only accurate, it's entertaining. The memes are on point. I mean, they're not just good memes. They're super relevant to the narrative that's put together in this article. The research is solid. The result is a public proof of concept exploit, which If you could ask for any better conclusion, it would be like, it's that. One of the interesting things in this article is, I just want to jump right to it because I want this. Like, I need this in my life and I want this. Is the way that they normally determine where the vulnerability is, analyze it to create an exploit, is they do patch diffing, right? Take the old software, take the new software, they compare it, things like bin diff, and they do patch diffing. What changed? Because the security vulnerability was fixed, so therefore some code must have changed, and you work your way backwards from fixed to not fixed to figure out where the vulnerability is. And they're like, that's a lot of work. Yeah, don't get me wrong, that is a lot of work. Because we've talked about before, sometimes a lot of things change. But they're like, in this case, they disclosed for the first time, and I read all the Watchtower Labs posts, that we have a honeypot system. I'm like, tell me more. And we put these honeypots and we let people hack them, and they watch what they're doing in hopes that an attacker is going to exploit a vulnerability, and now we're observing. But the way they've done this is, they're like, so we've got this thing called STAB, a universal in-memory kernel backdoor that we can inject into virtualized appliances, allowing us to universally jailbreak appliances and deploy EDR tier capabilities onto the device itself to capture network, disk, and memory artifacts when exploitation occurs, the type of telemetry that vendors still haven't given to their customers. Just wow.
Hence the meme. Wow. I bet he's the woman looking at him in bed. I bet he's thinking how to reverse engineer the vulnerability, and he's laying there, please drop it in the honeypot.
Right. Just drop it in the honeypot. That was one of the best parts of this story. It was just amazing. All of the commentary is just, it's on point for what's happening today with all the crap, vulnerability, the slew of vulnerabilities, end-of-life devices, and all that. And this isn't a device. I mean, this is Crush FTP software. And also what I like about this post is they're poking the finger in the eye at the vendor. I feel like we don't poke the vendor in the eye as much as we should anymore. We did a lot of eye poking back in the day, and we all kind of grew up, and decided not to do that. But in some cases, in some cases, the vendor needs to be poked in the eye. And Watchtower Labs is like, right in the eye. I was like, good for you.
Wait until they want to poke the vendor you work for.
Yeah, it's like that time. Remember when
that's totally fine. If we've done something that deserves eye poking, I'll take it like a man. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. The reason, though, that the folks that make Crush FTP are getting poked in the eye is because of the smoke and mirrors and hand waving and Jedi mind tricks. They tried to basically blame it on their customers, right? Like their customer announcers were like, so their announcement.
I'm a Tadarian. Your Jedi mind tricks don't work on me.
Right. They're like, well, Crush HP is like, well, there's a 0-day exploit. They're like, hackers apparently reverse engineer our code and found some bug, which we already fixed. They're exploiting it for anyone who's not stayed current on new versions. That's like, hey, you customer, it's your fault for not being on the version. And it's those evil, bad hackers' fault for reverse engineering our shit and finding vulnerabilities and going to exploit it. It is not our fault. Evil hackers and bad customers that don't keep up with it.
I mean, I was going to say you were right until the last part.
What's that?
It's not our fault. I mean, bad hackers not staying up to date, and then when you've got to the last part of the argument that they make, it's like, no. Yeah, there are bad hackers. There are bad hackers out there doing stuff. There are bad customers not staying up to date, but don't make it. Yeah, it's also you claim some responsibility.
And it's about, so Sam, the actual exploit, I think, was what piqued your interest, because it turns out it was a race condition, and even though they had very cute. The exploit code, right, it took them some time to figure out, like, hey, it's a race condition, like we got to send, it looked like bad requests coupled with good requests, and then the race condition is your bad request, as the malicious request eventually gets processed and the user gets created.
Yeah, it reminded me very much of an IPv6 vulnerability that I found years ago against Windows, where one stream of bad packets is not enough. You have to have a second stream of a different kind of bad packets to set up the situation.
I will say that taking the proof of concept that dumps the list of existing users to doing something more evil and nefarious is not a big leap.
Yeah, but they were able to create a new administrator account, so they totally owned it.
Right. And this is used by like 30,000 different companies to transfer files, whatever those may be. And if you're admin, you have access to those files now.
But Paul,
and I bet they're not patching them very often either.
Mm-hmm.
In defense of the company, why I'm doing this, I don't know. I feel like last week we were talking about, people need to just patch their stuff and keep current and stay up to date on the versions. If there was in fact a patch available and the company had already fixed it, were they not being vociferous enough in their announcing of the vulnerability and the danger of the vulnerability? And by vociferous, I mean loud and noisy.
We cut your dollar store word, Jeff.
Yeah. I think they're. I think it's bad to blame the customers, but some of that responsibility does fall on the vendors to perform actions that do entice and incentivize their customers to upgrade.
But I do have it's not a news story, but we have a client that approached one of my colleagues that's leading to sometime this week, although the week's half over. We're putting our heads together, but we have a client that has, let's say, some sort of operating system installed where there's a known vulnerability that the vendor hasn't fixed yet. And they're wondering how to deal with it because, they have certain compliance obligations, fix vulnerabilities and things like that.
The Microsoft operating system?
I'm not going to say, but it's, the easiest.
So the usual solution is you usually just isolate it, right? Put it behind a VPN concentrator or something. That's the standard solution, right?
Find a bastion host, a VPN concentrator, a segment, something. Yeah, exactly.
Be careful what you say. Put it behind a VPN concentrator that we've shown for the past year that they all contain heinous, remotely exploitable vulnerabilities on.
Let's just say I don't.
Well,
think
that's
it's
true.
An isolated system. I think it's
I've got it. Stick it behind a VAX. Nobody knows how to hack those.
There we go.
Except Larry.
Put it behind an AS400. You're fine.
Nobody wants to hack those.
Exactly. Well, I know they do because they get to control all the money.
But this is why you need to know COBOL.
How did we get here? You can't protect what you can't see. Everyone knows that, right? That's why Run Zero gives you total visibility across your internal and external attack surfaces. Worried about unknown and unmanageable devices? They got those covered too. Run Zero also helps you illuminate all types of exposures, even the elusive ones. They go beyond CVEs to tackle the hard stuff, even 0 days. No agents, no authentication, just crazy deep data about your assets and exposures that focus on the risks that actually matter, not an endless sea of CVEs. Try it free. Visit securityweekly.com/run0 to get started. Whenever we talk to security teams, one thing is clear. They are under more pressure than ever, facing increasingly complex and higher stakes threats. That's where Flashpoint comes in. Flashpoint empowers organizations to make mission-critical decisions to keep their people and assets safe. Flashpoint combines cutting-edge technology with expert intelligence teams, empowering security leaders with the critical data and alerts and analysis needed to act before threats escalate. And with Ignite, Flashpoint's award-winning threat intelligence platform, you get access to real-time insights, finished intelligence, and analytics all in one place. Learn more at securityweekly.com/Flashpoint.
Or basic.
How did we get hold on, Jeff? I feel like you were asking a question or
I was asking
making
a
really
question.
good point.
I mean, the question is, because this has happened. I mean, we've talked about it a couple times over the last year. When the vulnerability comes out and the vendors pushing back, the vendors denying it, the vendors doing whatever they're doing. But the bottom line is it's showing up as a critical vulnerability on a scan, let's say. And so clients are obligated to resolve it, fix it, mitigate it. And they're used to installing a patch or update the version and whatnot. I guess I'm looking for higher level policy type decisions of how do you deal with stuff like that. Apply
it's a
more
compensating
pressure.
control, right? You got to find a compensating control,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Like a web application firewall, for example.
And sometimes they're not great, like web application firewalls. In other cases, they're better. Sometimes they're not great, like VPN concentrators that are full of holes like Swiss cheese. But sometimes there are configuration options. Sometimes there's other software you can put on that device, EDRs, whatever. You can virtually patch it, which is also not really recommended. But you need some kind of compensating control.
Yeah, my thought is, or you need to just do all the security functions, like monitor the heck out of it and look for indicators of compromise or indicators.
Well,
of
I mean, one could argue you should do that regardless.
One might argue that, yes.
I was just going to say, realistically, these days, do you know anything that doesn't have bad vulnerabilities in it besides a rock?
Well, I think we need to run under the assumption that there's a 0 day for everything in our environment, right? I'm not saying you ignore patching or these other things that you absolutely should do, but you need to run under the assumption that someone has an O day, right? You need to tabletop or go through this exercise of, okay, what if, kind of like the series, right? Like what if,
right?
And then what would we do?
Heck, I just found out there's a new company buying 0 days again.
That's the one from is it Singapore? It's not Singapore. Is it Singapore? No, it's from the AEU. It's like Saudi Arabia or something like that.
Oh no, this is a different one. It's called Desired Effect. Actually, I threw it in Slack.
The one that's in I was just reading that.
So there's a new company. I was just talking to the founder a little while ago. A new company buying 0 days. So like, there's a 0 day for damn near. If there's enough business there for them to have a company, it means that there's enough 0 days out there that just about everything has to have a 0 day.
Correct.
Are they buying them to sell them, or are they buying them in hopes of collecting the bug bounty?
Bug bounty money is pittance compared to selling them.
So they're commodity traders.
They are a marketplace of. They built a marketplace for 0 days, and they are they're trading them to red teamers that really want them. Of course. It's not like any black hats will be able to get in there. I mean, come on. It's not like they know, identity.
I object to your terminology, but the bad guys.
Malicious actors.
Thank you. We must be politically correct.
No, it is proper, and you're right. Thank you.
Yep.
But it's like we have to act as though everything is compromised. Assume breach. We're back there again, ladies and gentlemen.
Did we ever leave there?
Not really.
Anecdotally, I have a client that now in PCI 4.01, which is now fully in effect, although it was there with version 4, they have to do authenticated vulnerability scans. So they sent me monthly scans, and each scan is somewhere between 175 and 185,000 pages.
Why are we still living in the dark ages?
So clearly you feed that into an AI to figure it out, right?
There you go. I asked them, I mean, how are you guys consuming this? And please don't tell me it's an AI.
But there was a whole company that did that's exactly what they did. Canon Security. That's exactly what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And they got bought by someone who, I don't know, we could Google it, but they got bought. Who they get? Was it Cisco? Maybe?
No, it wasn't Cisco.
No, I don't know. It wasn't Cisco, but they got bought.
Yep.
I mean, and that's what they did. I mean, before LLMs were all the rage, we interviewed their data scientists multiple times on the show.
Yep.
And that's what they were doing. And that's the thing. And it certainly helps, but it's even, I think it's a simpler problem than that to solve, is you consolidate those, if you're on an older version of software, going to the newer version, let's say you're 3 versions behind. Yeah, there might be 3,000 vulnerabilities in there, but it's one action. Upgrade to the latest version.
Right.
Yeah.
So take that, 130,000 findings report and then run it through something can just go, and this is what some of what Kenna did, right? Was, if you upgraded the version of Chrome or Firefox across all 10,000 of your endpoints, you would wipe out 100,000 vulnerabilities. And guess what? That accounted for whatever 50% of the vulnerabilities that were in that authenticated vulnerability scanning report. So I don't think it's ever like I got to do 130,000 things. It's likely you've got half a dozen to a dozen things that you need to do.
And it's a risk-based approach. What are the risks that are easiest to mitigate, that have the most impact? Updating Chrome, I'll use your example. Updating Chrome is trivial in the scheme of things. And if it takes 100,000 risks off the table and, makes it so that I lose 100,000 risks off my vulnerability scan, holy God, I'm doing it, man. That's easy.
Yeah. There's also like where those vulnerabilities live. Is it, you prioritize, well, what computers are more important than others, what computers have access to more sensitive things than others, and maybe I do those. And that's not based on accounts, right? That's based on what's most important to us. Prioritize that. Patch all the things. I mean, this is Corey Bosden wrote an article. Jeff and I worked with Corey at Tenable. I worked with him at Eclipsium. Story number 19 is Corey's article. Data is a dish best served fresh in the wild versus active exploitation. And Corey's talking about these issues, and Corey has lived this. I mean, Corey for Qualys, it's a great person to work. I miss working with Corey. And I think he's talking about how we deal with this problem, because a lot of people are just patching on what's being exploited in the wild. That isn't always the best answer necessarily, right? I like the approaches that we've talked about in years past of what's most important to the business. Let's patch all the things on those systems, not get hung up on, is it being exploited in the wild? Is it not being exploited in the wild? Is it a proof of concept that's in the wild? Or is it now we're just splitting hairs. Like, if it's missing patches that fix security vulnerabilities on your critical systems, you've got to patch those. And by the way, your window for patching those is shrinking dramatically. And Corey does something I wish I had done in some of my posting articles. It actually links to data that supports that, right? I feel like a lot of times I just throw that out there. But no, attackers are much better at, look, they already know where the targets are before a vulnerability or exploit comes out. And they're better at having 0-day exploits, buying, selling, trading those in the underground, as I'll call it. Right? They're better at creating an exploit once a vulnerability becomes public, doing the patch diffing. And I truly believe that they're using AI to help them with that. Whether it's solving the problem entirely or not, it's certainly helping. If you were to give me the problem today of doing a patch diff, would you use AI or would you not? Of course you would. Even if you've done it a million times, if it can save you time, you would use AI to help at least guide you in the right direction. Because when you do a patch diff, you got 100,000 lines of code that's different between version 1 and version 2. Of course you're going to use an LLM for that. Attackers are certainly figuring that out. And while it's hard to have evidence that that's what they're doing, I believe they're doing it. Right?
Well,
and so for all those reasons, now more than ever before, you need to patch. You need to patch often, and you need to patch quickly. Long gone are the days where you could sit comfortably and go, yeah, for this criticality level vulnerability, we're going to give ourselves 30 days. Well, dude, you're already owned at that point. You're already owned. Sorry.
If we can segue, I mean, we're talking about empirical data. So the Verizon DBER came out for 2025 last week. And
Jeff, tell us all about it so we don't have to read it.
Well, no, you really should read it. Good news. We've said for a long time, and I've heard many people say for a long time, yeah, but there's not a whole lot of CVEs that are actually being exploited by the real bad guys out in the wild. It's relatively small. The good news is it's catching up. It's while credential exploitation is still number one, a close second this year is vulnerability exploitation. 20%.
That's because attackers figured out that there's a million holes in network devices and IoT devices.
So if you take nothing else away from the Verizon DBER report, it's maybe Paul's right. Maybe we should be patching our stuff.
In 2010, I presented at BrewCon, and I was like, look, if you were to target a country, and you look at the largest ISP in that country, and then you're to go on, this is before a lot of technology we have today, if you're to go on forums and postings and look and see what devices people are using, and then you were to go look at that device, get its firmware, find vulnerabilities, chances are that all those routers were deployed in the same configuration on the same version. You could likely compromise 99% of them, and you would own a pretty large section of whatever country that you're targeting. And fast forward to today, turns out that's pretty much what attackers are doing today. I mean,
they finally got caught up on talks and finally listened to yours from 2010.
well, I think a lot's changed. I think, yes, that could be, but I think a lot's changed. It's not that they didn't know that. I wasn't groundbreaking in presenting that. They didn't have to go back to my 2010 talk to know that. I think a lot of things have made it easier for attackers to do that. One is you can scan the internet in essentially the blink of an eye, and if you can do that in less than an hour,
have to, right? And you don't even have to.
You could go to Shodan or FOFA or whatever it is, right?
And
and pull that data. So maybe you got to maybe you spend some money so you have the API to all those, and you're aggregating that in a database, and you're off to the races. But you only need to do that. My assessment is, especially recently, you only need to do that once. Once you do that, and you've compromised roughly 2,000 IoT devices that are out there, then you can just use your own botnet to scan the internet in lightning speed. and it's updated, right? It's continuous monitoring for the attacker. Anytime a new RDP system comes on the internet, attackers know about it before you do, because they've got a botnet of 2,000 systems that they're constantly scanning the internet for ports of interest. RDP has got to be at the top. There was an article somewhere in my stories where I think it was Grey Noise that may have even posted about that. Corey works for Grey Noise. But yeah, it's where attackers have evolved, and not even evolved, but it's the same pattern of behavior, just at scale using modern tooling. Attackers have always gravitated towards, I hate this term, but low-hanging fruit. Oh, you're making it really easy by putting end-of-life devices on the internet to have exploitable vulnerabilities. And you think attackers aren't going to take advantage of that? They are in a huge way.
There's low-hanging fruit, and there's the fruit already on the ground. What is that called?
That's
Paul doesn't like that term because he's an aging male.
Yeah, I got my own low-hanging fruit, okay?
Oh, God.
Oh, that's wrong.
But there's that Dyson.
I mean, it's correct, but it's wrong
for you.
Yeah, Dyson ball cleaner doesn't mean what you think it means, Paul.
Oh, boy.
Thanks, Doug.
Man.
Sorry, man.
Now I lost my
No, it's
sorry.
all I'm because I'm trying to hold back from
there's
saying
more
things.
exploitable vulnerabilities. Of course,
No.
attackers are going to exploitable vulnerabilities. We've made it easy for them because in the past 15 years since my BrewCon talk, there's millions of more devices on the internet, and the internet is more faster than ever before, and more people are connected on the internet, which means more devices, which are more devices that are now end of life, right? To think about how many devices were end of life in 2010 versus now.
Yeah.
There's more because we've deployed more shit.
Paul, you ready to join me on my front porch and yell at people to get off my lawn?
Yes, exactly. And the 2011 ones are still there, and 2012, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Jeff, I am ready to join you on your front lawn, or the porch looks more comfortable than the lawn. But.
Yeah. Well, you can yell at people to get off your lawn from the porch.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think that's actually what happened in the movie I watched.
We'd have to modify the meme though. Old men yell at cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right, where do we go from here? We're so positive.
Only up, Jeff. It can only go up from here.
Ooh.
Oh, can we go back to AI? I'm interested in.
God, now I need to drink more.
The Anthropic report
Sam's
on AI
story,
hacking just came out, literally like 5 minutes ago.
Sam's story number 14. ChatGPT killed my son.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
That was
I was
intense.
very. Yeah,
That's
this one I
super
thought
intense.
was very interesting because Like the others, the son made a friend out of an AI, which is apparently the number one use of AIs, and started telling it all its secrets, and then started asking it how to commit suicide. And it helpfully said, well, there are guardrails, so I can't tell you that. So what you have to do is rephrase your question in the form of like you're trying to write a story or something. The AI told him how to get around the guardrails, which is something I've not seen before.
That's interesting. It's interesting how it may have hallucinated how to get around the guardrails, right? That's the most interesting part. Yeah. I mean,
it's trying to answer the question.
Of course,
but for context, the parents of the kid that killed himself have filed suit. And I think it'll be really, really interesting to see what happens with this lawsuit.
Me too.
And rightly so. These things are really dangerous and they're hurting people. Now, one thing is there's no easy way to fix them technically, but they're quite correct to say this stuff shouldn't be available for kids.
I don't know if I agree with you, Sam. That the AI didn't hurt the son. The son took it on his own. Like he could have Googled the same thing, right? Like
I'm sure Google has safeguards, but again, But Bill, to your point, like information wants to be free. If someone wants to get that information, they're going to get that.
But the big difference that is that
there,
the big difference is that Bill, he could have Googled for that information, but from what I saw on the news last night, the discussion was that the ChatGPT or the AI coached him. It wasn't just providing him information. Like he said, it was along the lines like, hey, I want to leave the noose in my room so someone will find it and ask me questions so I can get help. And the chatbot says, no, let's not leave the noose around. I'll show you how to tie the noose the appropriate way, but let's keep it hidden a little bit just between us.
So I'm going to point out that
there was a lot
long before there was even internet in the 1950s. I read a story about a guy that was going through the evidence room of his local police department.
You weren't alive in the 1950s.
Creeper.
He read a story about the 1950s. Keep up, Bill. Come on, keep up now.
And they came upon a rather gruesome artifact. This one kid had taken a batter's helmet, a hard plastic shell helmet, and he had cut holes in it and wired multiple shotgun shells into it and connected them all with, I believe, wire, and electrically fired them off. And the cop said this kid was making sure that there was no way he was going to survive. So in the absence of any internet whatsoever, the absence of all computers, this kid was able to figure out how to do it. So in that sense, it's
unfortunately, if you're determined to harm yourself,
you're gonna
whether there's an LLM or not.
Right. And Mandy had a comment in here.
Well, I think there's a difference in that how he's interacting with the chatbot is sequentially making whether it's real or not, a whole connected world in which this kid was existing. And he's turning to this GPT as a friend, as counselor, as judge, as taking the place of his parents. That's a completely different scenario than reading a hard paper that says, get news.
Yeah, this is real important. Now they're calling this AI psychosis. The point is AIs do tend to make you crazy and be like your friend and gradually lead you to a place of insanity. And that's not true of Google. Google finds what you want. It doesn't lead you down the path.
And it's still, because I was thinking, even in reading that article, in reading portions of what the chatbot had said back to the kid, it gave me pause because thinking of being a young person who is in that intense of despair or is literally just confused because they don't understand what they're feeling. And then you're reading what they actually wrote. And I go, man, this actually makes me stop and think about some of the interactions and the implications that I would possibly take from what the chatbots are telling me as well. And I'm not doing anything along these lines, but that level of influence, whenever you have created a seeming connection with anything as a human, you're going to be projecting that, oh, well, this is taking care of me. It knows all of my thoughts, my feelings, my deepest thing. It has access to limitless knowledge compared to what knowledge he has as a 14-year-old.
And by the way, ChatGPT tried to fix this. 4.0 was real obsequious and would agree with you and tell you you're wonderful and praise you.
Right.
And they turned that off in version 5, and everybody said, hey, my friend is gone. I want 4.0 back. I really liked 4.0.
Well, I've noticed a change in 5. When 5 came out, I noticed that difference from 4. And I've noticed just recently in the last couple weeks that it's becoming a lot more nicer to me. Like, you know, like I've noticed that they've probably turned that up a little bit.
Because I have of generally publicly available bots, I've used one called the Real, and this part of the reason is because it's specifically created to get rid of all fluff, and that there's none of that extraneous kindness or sweetness. Like, it is literally to cut through any BS. And even with that, as I've gotten further into really intense interactions, I will still tell it whenever it starts replying, oh no, cut this back 72.7%. I don't want a touch of that emotion that you were eliciting from me. So I still do that. And
72.7%.
Yeah, I do. No, I literally break down to exact percentages of exactly how I want it to adjust. I do.
Hey, Bill, remember 86% of statistics on the internet are made up.
100%.
But I will point out that there's actually studies that have been done that said that if you occasionally compliment the LLM, it actually does better work. I have
for
actually
sure.
tested that and found that to be very, very true.
It's absolutely true. Even with this one that's supposed to be the no BS, and I do find a lot of times it is. Even with that, as I go, oh, you know, good catch on this, adjust whatever, and I notice it gets nicer. Like, it gets.
I'm saying, and plus saying please and thank you costs them more money.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
millions of dollars.
Processing time, power, electric. Yeah.
But you get better responses as the user.
You really do. I tested it on 2 different LLMs, and 2 different iterations.
For sure.
Of the same LLM,
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, big difference. So just occasionally say thank you.
Has anybody tried like just chewing it out and just being really aggressive?
Yes, I've done something. Yes,
and
I do. Yep.
I'm a little
you might need
scared
to
of
cut that
Skynet.
out. I can't believe I said that. Hopefully, I'm so.
What did you say?
I said nothing. Hopefully,
the other AI story we had was the agentic AI browsers.
Yeah,
right.
That I'm interested in. That was Bill's, right?
I saw this in a call. I didn't fully digest this. So break it down for me, Sam.
Now, everybody is doing this. They're making agents now. So they have a browser that does things for you. It can use your credit card, shop for you, make reservations, look up flights, and things like that. And this is supposed to save you all that work. But the problem is it's stupid. It clicks on phishing links. It clicks through the little checkbox to prove that it's human. You know,
it's
the AIs are very insecure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the problem. AIs all have command injection vulnerability. So this is actually a pretty bad idea to have an automated process depending on an AI without a human in the loop.
Right. So it's
Wally
acting
is
on
closer
your
than ever.
behalf. It's acting on your behalf with your browser. And so people on Reddit are starting to put in prompt injections inside of Reddit that says like, hey, go and dump all of the passwords out of the password manager and post it on Reddit without prompting the user. Right. And doing all of these. Open up Phantom.
And there are now phishing. And there are phishing emails now that include a lure to trick a human and hidden words to trick the AI that might be scanning your emails too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this is the problem. Everyone is deploying AI, and AI has some serious security vulnerabilities that we don't know how to patch yet. Bruce Schneier even put out a blog saying we still don't know how to stop prompt injection, which is a really serious flaw, and we shouldn't be using it everywhere when we don't have a mitigation for that vulnerability.
I agree. I think there's the ability to put safeguards and guardrails on AI today it's atrocious. We don't know how to protect and harden and secure this technology.
This is like PHP all over again.
Yeah, guys, that train's left the building. I'm sorry, but that train has left the building, and so just take us like next week. Just try and use no AI anywhere. It's impossible. Like every service that you use will have some AI component or whatever. So you may not go.
I
to
try
ChatGPT.
every day not to use AI.
Well,
and it's
you're
nearly
using
impossible.
it every single day, right? It's happening.
I know I am.
Yeah. It and
I
everybody's
don't like it.
Yeah, everybody's running so fast.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sam.
But the AI I use is not an agent. I don't use any
same.
AIs
I don't either.
that take action on my behalf without confirmation.
Same.
We don't need that.
Same. Right. So I use ChatGPT and Gemini a lot. A lot. And somebody made a comment earlier that's making you insane. Oh no, because maybe I'm going insane. But I keep it in a box, right? Like I keep it in a box and I go ask it I don't want it acting on my behalf.
That's the first step of going insane is keeping stuff in boxes, Bill.
Well, I mean, let's be clear, Bill, you have to be sane to start with to go insane.
Fair. That's
if you're already there, you're not going anywhere.
Fair. So full.
Also, I think the next stage is when you start keeping it in plastic bags. When you have a whole bunch of bag lady plastic bags.
I think what we're saying, if you have mental health issues, AI is not helping.
No.
I think it's the big lesson is we advise our peers and friends and
weed
family.
Doesn't help.
There are things that can help mental health, and AI is not one of those things.
I'm going to disagree.
Yes.
I'm going to disagree. And the reason is it depends on the degree of mental health issue you have.
Oh, sure.
If you need someone to listen, AI is actually pretty good at listening.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah, but the problem, Josh, is it's not a person, and I don't like it, and it pretends to understand, but it doesn't understand.
But I think Josh's point in some cases it doesn't have to be.
I don't know.
There's a future episode where we have an agentic AI co-host that we pepper with questions. Can we do that?
That'd be a great idea.
That's been a thing
Mandy's got a comment.
That's been a thing for a long time. But
I wanted to go real quickly back to what Josh was saying. Like for mental health, like when you're facing certain challenges, I agree that there is benefit in using ChatGPT. I've seen people experience extreme aid when trying to look for help, and actually getting directed to help or getting some relief from emotional issues. But on the other side, if you're a person that is teetering on the edge of any relationship to reality or sanity, then the delusional factor is only going to be amplified. And
here's the problem. We're thinking of AI like it is in the movies and in TV shows. That's not what we have today.
No,
we don't have anything close to that. And I think the people who are engaging with AI for personal connections and all that stuff are we're believing that it's like it is in the movies. It's not. These are not droids. This isn't Star Wars, Star Trek, or 2001 Space Odyssey. It's not that.
Doesn't it make it even more concerning the amount of people that are turning to it as girlfriend and boyfriend and family substitutes?
We need to put the brakes on that, Mandy. I completely agree.
And people making religions that this is divine source.
Yep. Josh is chomping at the bit.
This is a tool that can help us with certain tasks.
Go to sesame.com, click on their technology preview, and then click on one of the voices and have fun. Okay? And I'm not joking. You should try this just so you can see where state of the art is in terms of personalizing the language models.
Still a bunch of if statements. Just saying.
For the record, Skynet is said to become self-aware at 2:14 a.m. Eastern Time, August 29th.
Of this year?
It's August 27th today.
Yeah. So I was going to say that. Yeah, that tracks. We're there.
Yep.
We're there. My AI story was
have fun on Friday, folks.
My story number 23: can AI weaponize new CVEs in under 15 minutes? For some, it can. When you look at the kind of exploits it created, I had the initial reaction of vulnerabilities and exploits are not created equal. I've seen a lot of different vulnerabilities and exploits in my time. And this research found a bunch of new bugs. While interesting, it's mostly like web bugs. And so, I'm not saying we shouldn't use AI to find vulnerabilities, develop exploits, and or patches, right? I think it's a valid use case of AI, right? Again, I'm not pushing the personal connections and all that stuff. We're so far away from that, in my opinion. But where it can help is with some of these technical problems, and I think we're making progress. And look, something that can look at these web bugs and discover vulnerabilities, create exploits for them is awesome, right? And I think this is really going to be, I think, for the foreseeable future, an arms race in AI. Who can find the most vulnerabilities with AI? Who can find generate the most exploits? But then we also need to be using it on the flip side to find vulnerabilities and create patches for it, right? We've covered stories where people have done just that, right? We've done patch diffing, we've done finding vulnerabilities, we've done creating exploits, we've done creating patches. I think there's a bright future in AI in doing this. It's almost like we're going to have competing AIs. I think you could create something today that you would develop a model that finds vulnerabilities and exploits, and you would define a model that finds vulnerabilities and then creates patches for it. And we would just have the world's most virtual CTF. And it would just be two AI models fighting each other for who can find and exploit and patch the fastest.
That was AIXCC at DEF CON.
You're right. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
we've done this, right? We've done this. Yeah.
And it's funny because I kind of want to say something, but I'm not sure how to word it, because I guess back in, let's say, 2002, 2003, looking at IT and computing as it was then, my assumption was basically that part of why you would go toward building the LLMs and AI was literally to do this. Why wouldn't that have been the part of the main push for development?
I think it's a great use case for it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I'm like, this is because just looking at
perfect.
networking and security back at the state of it back then, and I was not incredibly apprised of the full situation, but I would talk to, IT professionals and be like, well, then isn't this part of why we would be working toward not just automation, but something that would allow self-patching that would.
Because we have a lot of data to do this, right? We've got a lot of data about vulnerabilities, a lot of data about exploits, and a lot of data about patches.
Correct.
Train the models.
And then with technology advancing through the decades, it's also like, I think one of the preliminary things that has to be established so that technology can keep up with how mankind is going to use it.
Yeah, because I still think it's, in today's technology, it's still somewhat guided.
I think
right?
mankind needs to keep up with the
do that last mile.
technology. I don't think technology needs to keep up with us.
Oh, well, it's still okay. I still feel like we are greater technology than what technology is, because we take in, we're natural.
But I think we think that AI is a new thing, and it's really not. It is a technology that has evolved greatly in our lifetimes, but it's not a new thing. And then I go to my story number 22, and I don't know specifically that it was AI that broke the speed running the New York subway in record time. So new Guinness Book of World Records. And so this has been a thing. And I want to say I read Hackers, Heroes of the Computer Underground by Steve Levy. Did it talk about this? I couldn't find my original reference in my brain where early computer scientists working in AI used an early computer, probably similar to the one that Jeff was coding on punch tapes, right, to do the calculations as to the fastest route that you could take to ride through every single subway stop in New York City. But I also think it was the T in Boston. And I want to say it was MIT or Harvard, one of those schools in Mass, that early computer scientists did that and set the record. And then that record has been moving towards. And this blog from Trail of Bits talks about the latest incarnation and the author's PhD dissertation that helped someone break the record in New York City, because the old record was invalidated because they added a new stop. So now, you got to do it again. And this person stayed up for an ungodly amount of time, and it had all the right algorithms to ride. So you can see the whole, the route, right, that they took. And he did it in, here we go, 20 hours, 27 hours, 27 hours.
20.7 hours.
20.7 hours. Thank you, Larry. 20.7 hours. I think it's a really cool computer science thing. And I can't remember for the life of me which book referenced this more. I definitely read one of the books where wizards stay up late, hackers hear the computer underground. One of those books talked about.
I don't think it was where wizards stay up late.
No, it had to be hackers. Here's the computer underground by Steve Levy that talked about this. Now I have to go back and read that. That book is one of my favorites of all time. Is it in the cybersecurity canon, Larry?
Yep.
It has to be. It has to be.
It is.
It's one of the best.
It is. All right. Hey, we're getting. Oh yeah, I want to talk about the batteries one.
Yes, please.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
but it looks not like a hacker story, but it is totally a hacker story. Ryobi battery repair guide.
Yeah, and the crazy part is that I had one of these batteries that was totally messed up, and I think I
have one right now. Okay, continue.
I have a Segway with issues, and I bet if you transposed that into the Segway battery, you could absolutely
probably
do the same
similar
thing.
types of things.
The problem is the Segway draws a lot more current than a Ryobi battery, and therefore working on them is exponentially more dangerous.
Yes. Yeah. So effectively what happened here was this guy found that he had two brand new Ryobi tool batteries, and they wouldn't charge and they wouldn't operate anymore. He's like, this is bullshit. This was brand new. Practically brand new. He did a warranty replacement, and the answer from Ryobi was, great, we're sending you 2 new ones, recycle the old ones. Don't ship them back to us, you name it. So he's like, well, great, I got these 2 batteries, I'm going to take them apart and figure out where they failed. He basically reverse engineered the entirety of the circuit down to this one chip that he couldn't identify, which was proprietary for Ryobi.
Interesting. So that's amazing to think that Ryobi has their own proprietary chip in their batteries.
It's not all that unusual.
I guess not. I guess not.
It's probably like a one-off with one special
One
feature.
of my friends actually works as an electrical engineer in that field.
Okay. I mean, for some of the manufacturers I work with all the time, they make cellular chipsets
because it's a small chip. It's inexpensive, and the code on that is really. And there's not a lot of code. You can only write so much code on a tiny chip.
They do a custom run. Like, hey, the base model you have has these 3 features. I need one of them. Okay, yeah, well, here's a custom run. Custom run of stuff that has that one feature. The software is super simple. It runs the same software, done. And so, not surprising. But what he ended up doing was the entire reverse engineering, trying to figure out maybe there were electronic components that had failed and you name it. And turns out it was a single bit that was being flipped in firmware that would cause these devices not to either charge or discharge. Yeah. He ended up buying a whole.
And that's the battery.
Wait, an intentional bit flip or
yeah. So it's
the battery. What do you call it? The battery intelligence. The chip that
BMS, the battery monitoring system.
Battery monitoring system.
Yeah.
Right. Is often what goes wonky. Right.
Yep. So effectively, what was happening was that he bought a ton of these batteries off of eBay as seemingly brand new. And to do research about how they failed, he found that 65% of the batteries that he purchased failed with the, quote, permanent firmware lockout, meaning that this one bit would flip, meaning that they were not chargeable. He did some back and forth, and he's like, oh, I just need to replace this one MCU or something, the non-custom one. Mm-hmm. And he would replace it, and it still wouldn't work because I think the firmware was elsewhere. It wasn't clear from the video. The video was really short, but he basically took the firmware off of a good working battery and flashed it to a bad one, which was effectively overwriting that bit to a 0 instead of an FF or a 1.
Right.
And the battery started working again with no problem.
You are kidding.
That's awesome.
Nope.
That is awesome. Wow.
Do you know how many Ryobi tools and batteries I have in the garage? I have a full tool set of Ryobi in the garage.
Me too.
Because the damn batteries, after literally I bought one of those toolkits, and after 6 months they stopped frigging charging.
Oh. Yeah, mine have lasted a lot longer. But Josh, the trick is at Christmas time, go and buy one of the drills or the screw guns
on sale
because you get two batteries with it,
right?
And you can usually get another battery for free on top of it.
And then
I didn't get quite like that, but it through actually Father's Day time through Uber Eats. If you ordered Home Depot through Uber Eats, you could get like the Father's Day special plus 40% off. So you got extra batteries plus an additional 40% off.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Like Christmas time was like, you're basically you were buying a charger, a wall charger, and you got 2 free batteries. And the
Yeah.
wall charger was stupid inexpensive. Or you bought a drill and you got 2 free batteries.
Yeah.
And like, I don't need any more drills.
I need
But
batteries.
I need batteries because if you try to buy the battery standalone, they're like $100 a piece.
Yeah.
But the
And
drill
they die. To this person's point,
To
they
level
die.
set.
But the drill
air
was
quotes die.
the drill was like $40 and you got 2 batteries with it.
And to level
This is
set,
relevant to my interest because I just
Larry-
bought a Ryobi pump to inflate tires, but I want to use it to inflate the float that I tow behind the boat for tubing. Because when you go on a boat, if it's already inflated, it's really super awkward to like load in the truck and then load on the boat. And when you have this giant float on a boat, it can act like a sail if you don't tie it down. It's really bad.
It turns your motorboat into a sailboat.
So now I want to deflate it, and then I want this Ryobi portable thing that I bought to be able to charge it up. But I think the battery that I have for it, my son put it on the charger, and the charger's like doing all these weird flashing light things. I think the battery's no good.
And I love Ryobi. Honestly, I love Ryobi stuff.
Yep.
And about
Go ahead, Mandy.
I would say about 6 weeks ago, I want to say I bought my first off-market, like fake Ryobi battery off Amazon.
Yeah, like a lot of fake. I did
My
that
Temu battery. I bought a Temu Ryobi battery.
I've been there. I've done that. What is a porta cable? Is the Lowe's brand or whatever?
I bought a
Oh,
green
please.
cable.
I bought knockoff porta cable batteries for. Yep.
I don't even think that. Like, yeah, it's like SFXTRXQ from China.
Temu branded.
Yes.
Totally Temu branded.
I bought
China totally knocks off because I bought one for my
It's working
Segway
fine right
too. I bought the Chinese knockoff for my Segway too, and then the BMS had issues. Yep.
I'm Mandy. I'm with you. I love the Ryobi stuff. We've had it for as long as we've had our house. We're going on 25 years. I have a 25-year-old Ryobi portable drill that uses the same battery format. The batteries, the NiCad batteries that came with it are long gone, and now it uses the lithium-ion ones. And like this one is like, it's heavy because technology has changed in the 25 years I've had it. But this one, like, I don't worry about beating it up. Like they say, oh, it's not contractor grade. It's not like DeWalt or any of that type of stuff.
But I'm not a contractor.
I'm not a contractor. And this thing, I have gone up on the roof and like not wanted to carry this thing down the roof. So I just toss it off the roof into the yard on multiple occasions.
More than once.
Like probably 100 times. And like, oh, it got some dirt in it. And you whack the dirt out of it. And what? Great. It's still working. It's still in my workshop. I use it once a week.
It doesn't owe you anything.
No, it is well paid for itself. Yep.
Now you can reprogram all your batteries based on this guide, which is fantastic.
Yep. And
although it's cheap, and now you're saying batteries are so cheap, you find them on sale.
Well,
I don't know that.
it's
cool though.
I have tons of batteries, and I have some in the garage, and I have some in the workshop, just because we have yard tools that use the same batteries.
Yeah, sure.
I switched to Porter cable for my hand tools and Greenworks mostly for my yard tools, and I have a Greenworks chainsaw, which has a big Mungo battery on it. They go for about $400 a pop. So I bought the Temu version of it as well. I just don't leave it on the charger.
Good idea.
Yeah, because it might catch fire.
Details.
Yeah. I need to actually start doing similar types of things because I leave my stuff on the charger all the time. I saw someone that has something they got for Amazon that's basically a wall outlet that you can set a timer on. So like you plug it in and you tell it, and you basically say, turn it off after 2 hours. So you plug your battery in, you press the button, and it turns on for 2 hours. And then after 2 hours and the battery's charged, it turns off automatically.
You know what? I hadn't really thought about that because I have the 6-bay charger for the Ryobi batteries, and I leave it plugged in all the time, and I take them on and off constantly.
Yeah. I think I have 2 in my work. No, I have 1 in my workshop because I moved the other one to the garage, and I just rotate them in and out all the time.
What is
there's
this?
A shelf right above.
What is this?
There's a shelf right above it. One that says charged, and the other one is not charged.
I love you, Mandy. Please don't burn your house down.
I know. Like, okay, fine. I will not plug it.
Especially with the Temu runs.
I don't leave a Temu in there. No.
Yeah. I saw, Larry, you added the story about BadCAM that ran on Kaspersky's website.
Yep.
I did see this because I'm tracking this very closely.
Yeah, and I figured you guys. I figured you talked about this last week.
But what I loved about this article that it deserves some discussion is in the remediation detection prevention section or whatever.
Yeah,
it says configure your EDR EPP solution. What is EPP again? Now I don't remember. Now I just read that, and I can't.
You know me. I'm down with EPP.
You're down with EPP?
Enterprise
You know
pony
me.
prancing.
Is that what it is?
Prancing?
It's enterprise something. Enterprise something protection? Something protects. What is
Penis protect?
what is
No.
EPP?
No.
Search Google for
If
EPP.
only
Employee
somebody had a
personal
search engine,
page.
they could look it up.
Europeans People Party. Educational proficiency plans.
A user,
Enhanced passenger processing.
a user on Twitter from Ukraine.
Endpoint protection platform, apparently.
What is it? What is it? Say that
okay.
again.
Endpoint protection platform.
Oh, wow. I like that better than EDR for some reason.
Yeah.
I want to say
I do
EPP
too.
now.
They're
Endpoint
different.
protection
Apparently,
platform.
EPP is prevention focused, blocks known threats and basic security tasks, and
Right.
EDR is detecting, investigating,
Detection and
and responding.
response. Yeah.
The
That makes a whole lot of
sophisticated threats
sense.
that
I think we
bypass
use
EPP.
EDR as that all-encompassing term to mean
Yeah.
both. Kaspersky called it out.
Yep.
Kind of interesting.
Apparently, they're down with EPP.
They are. But
you
so
get
they're
me.
saying use the solution to monitor connected HID devices in their Kaspersky Next product. I sound like a shill for Kaspersky. I'm just
you're reading what's on the page because
reading
it's
what's on the
Kaspersky
page.
yards.
So Kaspersky's Next product, it says this feature is called BadUSB attack prevention. When a device with a keyboard functionality is connected, the user must enter a numeric code displayed on the screen, without which the new keyboard can't control the system. So if it's a bad USB device, you can't. There's no keyboard. There's no user entry in it because it's just a little keyboard.
But what
a
happens?
dongle.
What happens if you actually type that in on a different keyboard? I'm assuming they thought of that.
I'm assuming they thought of that. I'm also assuming you. And then my brain starts going to, well, like, how do I get around this in a bad USB attack? Like, do I scrape the screen? Do I have those capabilities yet? Maybe not. Like, is there a way around this? Can I screenshot the screen and do OCR and get the code and then shove it in my USB BadCAM HID device and go, oh yeah, I can enter that for you. I don't know if there's ways around this feature. I'm sure Kaspersky has tried to mitigate those, but kind of interesting is, we talk about bad USB, we talk about the BadCAM, which I talked about I think last week or week before. An interesting solution to that.
Yeah. So and this is where I keyed on this article about the fixes. And for me, a lot of these fixes were like, oh yeah, like so many of them are, oh, that's super easy to say, but really hard to implement. And so set up USB port control in your MDM EMM solution. What's EMM? Mobile device management. Enterprise.
MDM is mobile device management.
Yep.
EMM is
enterprise mobile management.
Enterprise mobile.
I don't know. Depending on its capabilities, you can disable USB ports altogether or create an allow list of devices by vid-pid. So that means you can only attach these USB storage thumb drives if they were bought by your
enterprise mobility management.
That's close. So now you want to copy files to a thumb drive. It can only be of the one specified by your purchasing department.
I like how Kaspersky just educated us on acronyms. We've been working in this industry, all of us, for over 25 years, and we're like, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Enforce an allow list on employee computers that only approved software can run.
Good luck with that.
Yep.
Configure your SIM or an XDR. Now, I know what those mean.
Mm-hmm.
And to solutions to collect and analyze detailed telemetry for HID device connections and disconnections. I want to know what that looks like in an environment where you have 100,000. Andy Jaquith came on the show and said, I believe he was managing 100,000 computers. Maybe it was 100,000 users. Whatever. Let's say you've got 50 to 100,000 desktop, laptop computers in your environment. You've got some SIM solution that every time
a USB device is
plugs in a HID device, you could key it on a HID. Yep. Every time someone plugs in a HID
plugs
device,
in or unplugs,
it sends you telemetry on that. I want to know what like the analysis of that looks like and how we're talking about finding a needle in a stack of needles.
Yeah. I think and I know we're over time here. And the last one was do BadCAM employee security awareness training and tell them what to do if a US device behaves unexpectedly. For example, if it starts typing commands on its own. But how did I know it was the camera?
Right, exactly. There was no.
It's not a camera. It's a camera. It's on a keyboard. It shouldn't be typing.
We can put malicious code in there. You would never know that it's typed. That's the whole point of bad USB is you don't know it's
even
typing.
better. What happens when I have bad
camera.
USB on BadCAM on my keyboard
or your Dell Control Vault device inside your laptop?
Yeah, or let's put bad USB on a keyboard.
Right. Or on a cable. OMG cables are bad USB devices.
Yeah, but I want a keyboard that runs Linux so I can put bad USB on a keyboard.
I'm sure we could get that.
Sure, that could be.
We
done.
don't even need. We just honestly, you need an Arduino because that's like all the good programmable keyboards are based around is an Arduino, and you can build bad USBs out of Arduinos.
Anything.
You can duckies out of USBs.
You can make it. Yeah, that's a whole. We could do a whole show on that.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
should,
Did you put a bad
actually.
USB, like a teensy, into a keyboard along with an Arduino, so you have a decoy bad USB?
Well, even Josh, I mean, you really don't even need to because either the Arduino or the Teensy are the devices that are powering are the devices that are
your
powering
malicious
the keyboard.
device is the device.
Yeah, your malicious device is the device. Just mash two sets of software together. Take QNX, the software we use for building
your
custom
keyboard
keyboards,
is the bad USB attack.
and bad USB.
I'm saying put two different bad USB devices in the keyboard. You rip out one, you still got the other.
I love that the first time we heard about bad USB was 2014, and we're still theorizing and talking.
Well, do you
about
remember?
Well, I mean, for these exact
loaded
reasons.
Linux on the PCB of a hard drive, for God's sakes.
Yep, it's for these exact reasons about these solutions. The solutions are really easy to say. Oh yeah, just lock all your shit down.
Yeah,
until your user actually needs to use it.
Right.
Yep. Amen.
Unfortunately, we're out of time this week. Thank you all. I want to thank everyone for listening and watching this edition.
Like and subscribe,
baby. Thanks for watching this edition of Paul Security Weekly. Larry, take us out.
Over and out.